Hey everybody, this is Gunnar Clad Brinkman with a modern deck tech. I am bringing you a Bant Collected Company deck that was featured in the MTGO Goldfish 28K modern games. So 28,000 games of modern were played, and they did a analysis of all those games of winning percentages with top contenders in the format and kind of rogue decks. This is one of the decks that had one of the best winning percentages out of all of the decks they featured, and this is just a collected company deck with Bant colors. So let's go over some creatures here that we're playing in this collected company deck. We're playing a 1-of Avacyn's Pilgrim. It's pretty much just the 9th mana dork. And I'll get to cards that it does accelerate to here shortly, but it's perfect for this deck. Green mana, I really want to have a forest turn 1 or a temple garden or something that produces green, obviously turn 1, that's what I want. And it also still makes me able to play a Geist of Saint Draft on turn 2, which is very hard for a lot of decks in the format to deal with. And then I have 4 Birds of Paradise, just same thing there. It powers out a lot of my early stuff with no issues. 4 Noble Hierarchs. Noble Hierarch is a great card in this deck. It lets my Geist of Saint Draft attack without much fear. If they're holding up 2 mana, that would be Ambush Viper, aka Snapcaster, best creature in the format. So that will be able to, Geist of Saint Draft can swing freely, and 2 mana 2/2s are not an issue. Then let's go over to some 2-drops in the deck. If we look over here, I have a playset of Voice of Resurgence. Voice of Resurgence, one of the better cards in this deck, and a reason why you would play it. This card is pure value. If you don't know what it does, I play it. My opponent is unable to cast spells on my turn unless they want to give me a creature. And then when this is not exiled, but when this creature is put into dies, so has to die, I get a elemental token, which power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures I control. That is also when they play a spell on my turn. Great card, one of the better cards from that format. It was a key card in the standard format. So I'm going to move those over here. And then we have a Casali Pride Mage. This card, it gives Exalted, just like Noble Hierarch, allows my creatures to swing through if the board is clogged and they have lower creatures or we're in a mirror, and so then they just lose a creature. So this card is great, and also is able to take out some cards that I may not be able to take out, artifacts to be exact. And then Ensnaring Bridge can be very crippling for this deck, but Casali Pride Mage kind of solves that problem in game 1. It is a 1-of, so I may not see it, but having Collected Company kind of lets me go through my deck a little more. And then let's look at some 3-drops. I am playing a 3 Eternal Witnesses. This card with Flicker Wisp, which is another 3-drop, is a great interaction. So I can go ahead and Collected Company. If I hit Eternal Witness and Flicker Wisp, then I can go ahead and Ewit. I can go ahead and Ewit, and if I do this at the end of my turn, or at the end of my opponent's turn, I can do a lot of different things, but what ends up happening if I do it at the end of my opponent's turn, I can Collect a Company at the end of my opponent's turn. Eternal Witness comes into play, Flicker Wisp comes into play. I put Flicker Wisp trigger on the stack. Obviously, Eternal Witness's trigger resolves. I target the Collected Company. I return it to my hand, and then Flicker Wisp trigger goes, and I put Eternal Witness under Flicker Wisp. Then I go to my turn, and then I can go ahead and cast Collected Company again, and then get any amount of creatures, do this also, and then Eternal Witness comes, the Eternal Witness that my Flicker Wisp exiled comes back into play. I can get Collected Company back to my hand. So it's just spews great value, and I can do that with any of my instants and sorceries, even though I only have paths. Collected Company, and a one of Dromoka's command. But back to the creatures, so that's a little interaction with Flicker Wisp and Eternal Witness. Flicker Wisp, if you're unfamiliar with this card, it is in the Death and Taxes deck in Modern and Legacy. When this card comes into play, I can exile another target permanent, and I can return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So, it's just the next end step. Not my end step, so you really have to be able to do sweet plays. You have to know exactly when to do it. And then I'm playing 3 Kitchen Finks. This is a great card against burn or any aggressive matchup, and it's just pure value card. Also great with Flicker Wisp because it will reset the persist counters on Kitchen Finks. And then we have probably my favorite card in Magic, which is Cast Saint Draft. This card has won me a lot of money throughout its lifetime. It's a hexproof creature that go ahead and brings a Flying Angel token into play, attacking when it attacks. Pure value. If you turn to this, a lot of decks are very unable to deal with it because of the hexproof it has built into itself. And it does 6 damage, so one of the better burn spells. And hey, it's in blue, the best color. Who knew? Now we go to a one of Dromoka's command, which is a standard all-star. I love this card personally. One of my favorite cards printed from that set. It does a lot of different things, and a lot of different things is not always good, but in this case all the things are fantastic. The sacrifice target enchantment is not great in Modern. It's fine, but not great. But the +1/+1 counter on target creature can reset Kitchen Finks, which is awesome. Also, target creature fights, so I can have a fight ability that can reset Kitchen Finks or get rid of blockers, etc. And the prevent damage from an instant sorcery spell is also very good. We'll be able to get some burn players possibly from burning out my creatures. Then we go to the other instant we have in our deck, which is Path of Exile. This is a key to this deck. Obviously, exiles just target creature for 1 white. They get a land into play tapped. Great card, best removal spell in white. Would not play a white deck without at least some in the 75. We are then brought to Collected Company, the focus of this deck, the reason why this deck exists. Collected Company, instant speed. Look at the top 6, put 2 fantastic creatures into play, which every card in this deck is fantastic, so just pure value. Collected Company, 10/10. Then we go over to our lands. We do not have many lands that do it. Like, we only have these 3 lands that are not basics or sack lands or breeding pool, etc. Gathering Township is great with this because with Collected Company I can fill the board and it gives my mana dorks something to do late game, not just sit back and trump block, but they can also be very aggressive if I have a Gathering Township. And if I'm able to untap with it for multiple turns. Because of financial reasons, I am playing Flooded Strands. I don't have Misty's online. I haven't bought them yet. I think I can get away with it. We'll see through these games if it comes up where I really needed a Misty Rainforest, but I think I'll be able to get away with playing these lands for now. I definitely, if this deck is great and I love it, I will definitely invest into Misty Rainforest. And I do want to buy Misty Rainforest anyways for Infect, blue-green Infect. So now let's go over to the sideboard that I have for you. See if you can see all the cards. Bring it all the way over. You can't, but that's fine. I'll just replace them. So we have a Casali Pride Mage, another one. I love this card. Another artifact and enchantment, hate, and exalted would be good against Affinity and any other deck that has problem artifacts or enchantments. Then we go to the Dromoka's command. Also, great card. I talked about it in the main deck. I'd bring it in against aggressive matchups, burn, etc. Put that over there. Then we have 2 Burn Team Forge Tenders. This card has protection from red, and I can sacrifice it to prevent all damage that a red source would deal this turn. Great card, good against mono red and Storm. Aven Mind Sensor is a great card against Bloom Titan, Tron, and anything that's searching its library a lot. It also turns Path of Exile into a better sword to Plowshares if they do not hit on the top cards of their 4 cards of their library. Then we have an Eternal Witness for the fourth Eternal Witness. This card is for attrition matchups where they're trying to grind me out. This card puts me on top for the 4th one. And then we have 3 Unified Wills. Most people are not familiar with this card, so I'll go over it. It's a 1 mana. It's a 1 and a blue counter spell. It counters a spell if you control more creatures than that spell's controller. So I've collected company and able to just cast collect company multiple times, Unified Will, and it will be brought in against control matchups where they're only playing 1 creature. This card is great. Will counter most things always, and I'll usually always win in the matchups that I actually brought it in. Now we'll go over to Eidolon of Rhetoric. This is another hate card for Storm, and it could be brought in against like Goryo's Vengeance and any other combo decks that may play more than 1 spell a turn. So I think that card's fine. Then we go to Leyline of Sanctity. Leyline of Sanctity is brought in against Burn, Junk, Jund, anything targeting me as a player, because this gives me a hexproof, so I cannot be targeted. Then we have 3 Scavenging Oozes. This is against graveyard decks and attrition matchups. Good against Junk to get rid of Lingering Souls. Good against Snapcaster decks to get rid of spells they target. Great against graveyard decks like Umbrella Rights, etc. decks. Not Goryo's Vengeance, stuff like that. And then let's go over some cards that I could be playing. I could be playing a Meddling Mage, or 2 Meddling Mages, which if I like this deck, I will definitely invest. They're pretty cheap, and I'll invest in them. Meddling Mage is a great card. If you don't know what Meddling Mage does, you can listen to me, or you can look it up. Meddling Mage comes into play. It's for a white and a blue. I name a card, and that card cannot be cast. So that can hose a lot of combo decks. Meddling Mage is definitely one that I want to be playing. Then Vendilion Click is another great card that I want to be playing. Also gets hit by a collected company, same as Meddling Mage. Mostly those 2 cards are the ones I definitely will want to be playing, and definitely look into investing in the future. So this was the Bant Collected Company deck tech. Stay tuned for the games going forward. I'm going to be playing this in an 8-man event here in this playlist, so stay tuned for the next rounds. Thanks for watching. This is GCB with On the Brink Games. Signing off. Stay tuned for round 1. Fighto.